We do continue along, and it is our Zoom broadcast here as part of YouTube and the Three Dog Thursday Roundtable. Look at the smiling faces, and we got so much to talk about here as part of the podcast. It's Alabama and Georgia, and that means my man Ryan Fowler from Tide 100.9 FM. Their weekday host is with us. Good to have you, sir. Little bitty football game going on, Alabama, Georgia, Saturday night. Good to have you.
Hey, number 2 against number 3. It's Alabama, Georgia. You know, when the schedule was released, I mean, we go back years. When the schedule was released initially, it was September. But then we all kind of pulled for the new schedule of 10 games of where this game would be. And this is the most important schedule, the game on the schedule for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So when you kind of step back and you look at it, you begin to look at this game. It's Kirby Smart versus Nick Saban. It's all – I mean, this is what college football is all about, my friend.
And you know it must be big time if TJ's showing up with Tiki Barber to do the game nationally on Compass Media all over the country on radio. I don't know if it's big time if I show up, but it's a national broadcast, and obviously CBS will show it all over the country as well. So we're looking forward to talking more about that, obviously. Ryan's so fired up, he's going into the breakdown during the welcome and the intro. He can't wait. He can't get enough of this.
I mean, this is great. This is great college football.
I know. Marquis Johns is also here, and Marquis is my wingman on the Big Fight Weekend website. Huge sports fan. Marquis, good to have you because, again, we have an impactful, huge World Lightweight Championship fight in Las Vegas Saturday night. So it's great to get you on because you're going to talk everything and a little boxing. Good to have you, sir.
Absolutely, TJ. No, this is a big-time thing for ESPN this weekend with boxing. They put a lot of promotion and a lot of time, effort, and money into this fight, and it's a good one. It's an undisputed lightweight championship between Teofimo Lopez versus Vasiliy Lomachenko.
Yep, so we're going to have fun talking about that in a couple of moments. All right, so we'll get to that in a second. Back to what Ryan was bringing up first, and I'll share the screen here. It is obviously about to be here. It is Alabama and Georgia, and my goodness, what in the name of run the football was going on there the other night. Najee Harris, I lost track at like 200-something yards, 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, 8 touchdowns. That game, Ryan Fowler, was like arena football with Ole Miss. Whoever has it last is going to win. It was, the highest-scoring regulation game in SEC history. But this guy that we're watching on the screen right now, Najee Harris, was tremendous running the ball. Give me a little analysis on that game, and how does it tie into the Georgia game, Ryan Fowler?
Well, let me say this. When you look at this Alabama-Georgia game, we've got to go back to Alabama-Ole Miss because I think Lane Kiffin exposed, a lot of weaknesses for this Alabama defense. When you back up and you take a look at the way Alabama tackled in that game, it was not good. I mean, they had
didn't tackle. Maybe.
Yeah, did not tackle. I mean, the way that they attempt to tackle would be but Lane Kiffin exposed them. Lane Kiffin exposed, Alabama's defensive side of the football. And you would expect that the blueprint, I'm not saying that Georgia can do what Ole Miss was able to do, but when you back up a couple of minutes and you look at it, they're going to do some things. They're going to be able to do some things that maybe Lane Kiffin kind of gave them the recipe. But Alabama's offense was just as good, but Alabama's defense was just as bad. And I think that's the story of walking out of there. We do a score prediction contest in Tuscaloosa every week. We probably take 60 calls, and that was yesterday. I had more people that picked Georgia to beat Alabama, and we're talking about Alabama fans. I had more people that took Georgia to beat Alabama on our score prediction contest than I've ever had. That picked
just because of what they saw with the defense, and
I think so.
The other night.
Yeah, because it reminds you, defense is not as, I've debated the question, elite offense or elite defense. What would you take in current college football? And I think everybody sees the trend. Santa Clara, California against Clemson, the defense showed up. We look back at the game there in Tampa, 2016, 100 plays. They couldn't get Clemson off the field, lost the championship. It's just been a cycle of the direction, the trend for Nick Saban has been that the defense is not getting any better under Pete Golding.
All right. And it's interesting that Charlie Strong, and Marquis knows this name because he was in Tampa with USF after being fired at Texas, was at USF for 3 years. He's there as the consultant, the observer. He's a defensive mind. How much input does he have? Stay tuned on that for that huge college football showdown that is coming up on Saturday. Let's bring Marquis back in and talk a little boxing. I'm going to share the screen again. This is Saturday night. ESPN has Teofimo Lopez from New York, the unbeaten IBF lightweight champion. Teofimo going against Vasiliy Lomachenko, Ukrainian unified lightweight champion who's got 2 of the belts. One of the best fights remaining in 2020 is coming up. The guy that we're watching, savage opponents here on the screen, Teofimo Lopez, and the backflips, by the way, wearing the Joe Burrow jersey. Ryan doesn't approve of that from the Heisman Trophy last year because he fought right after the Heisman Trophy ceremony. He fought then. All right, so Marquis, we're taking a look at Teofimo Lopez. He's taking on Lomachenko, who is a slick, hard-punching veteran fighter. What do you make of this, sir, here? Saturday night, ESPN will show it, not on pay-per-view. Great fight. Tell me more, Marquis.
Absolutely, TJ. One of the best fights that Top Rank has made in a long time, and it's on pretty much over-the-air ESPN television, which is also impressive on their end because they don't put – more often than not, these things are behind paywalls and pay-per-view, and they were always talking about doing it before the pandemic started. ESPN decided to chip in, put it over-the-air free television. They put a lot of promotion in the documentaries of it. They put out a 2-part series of Blood, Sweat, and Tears chronicling Lomachenko's parents and Teofimo Lopez's dad and how they trained leading up to this fight. It's a great fight that's going to be in the ring, TJ, because what will happen in this is this will pretty much determine the undisputed champion at 135 pounds. I know Lomachenko's the franchise champion, whatever that means in English. But at the end of the day, even Marco Solomon said that this is for the undisputed championship. No disrespect to Devin Haney, despite being disrespected. But that's what this is all for. And what will change from here, TJ, as you well know, is that there's not going to be a rematch clause in this fight. So this is pretty much winner take all at 135. And we'll see how this goes from there. There was rumors that Lomachenko was talking about moving back down in weight after this fight. When I spoke to him on the media Zoom call beforehand, he mentioned that he'll make a business decision and choose the best fight, which is best for him, TJ, at 130 or 135. You know, a great Deion Sanders line, a business decision. So we'll see how this plays out with Lomachenko should be, who is the favorite.
Okay, so we're watching, while you're talking, we're watching Lomachenko work out, and this is very similar to Ryan Fowler and my workouts whenever we hold workouts here. Look at the eye-hand coordination on what he is doing with a weighted little bag there. Look at this, right out of Rocky Balboa with the push-ups, with the weights. Lomachenko is no joke. He is the veteran. He is the more experienced of the two. Look at this. And then catches himself on the push-up. He is physically talented, gifted. This is going to be a very entertaining fight. I mean, we're not just selling this to sell it. It's going to be an entertaining fight, Marquis.
Absolutely, TJ. And yeah, one thing about Lomachenko and his training regimen, it is always the most strangest and like outlandish things you see over and over again. I remember like last year for the fight with Anthony Carolli, he was playing literally beach volleyball. I think it was with seals at one point, like out in the ocean. It was something ridiculous. And like it's one of those things where it's hard to judge like based on what he does in the outside the ring, what he's going to do in the ring. But the one thing that happens in the ring is he is known to punch and to not get hit, which is the big key for that whole fight on Saturday night.
All right. That's the voice of Marquis Johns. If you are only hearing us, I say this all the time, if you're only hearing us on the podcast, come find the YouTube Roundtable, Three Dog Thursdays YouTube page, social media link, etc., through sportsgamblingpodcast.com and their network of shows. Find the YouTube page. You'll see Marquis Johns. You'll also see Ryan Fowler talking Alabama as well from 100.9 Tide FM in Alabama, their weekday host, as we break all of this down. So a little Tide, a little college football, a little boxing, and now you see me wearing the hat, a little baseball. Marquis, we are beaming ear to ear right now that the Rays are on the verge, the Tampa Bay Rays we're talking about, of being in the World Series. The Rays up at the time that we're taping 3-0 on the Houston Astros. It looks good, up 3-0 in the best of 7. Let's take a look here at the Rays playing a little exciting defense as well in this one from the Tuesday night game. Again, we're taping this in advance of Three Dog Thursday. Look at Kevin Kiermaier with the diving catch.
Extension.
The gold glove center fielder, just like Marquis Johns back in the day. making the diving catch look routine in the outfield. They did this like 3 times in the game with the Astros in Game 3, making the diving catch. Again, the Rays have been in the World Series only one time in their history, 2008. I remember it well. I was there right after my twin daughters were born 12 years ago. Lost to the Phillies. Now here's a chance in this bizarre COVID 2020 year for the Rays to be back. Marquis, a big source of pride for us right now in the Tampa Bay area. Can the Rays get to the World Series? We're about to find out.
Absolutely, TJ. I think they can, actually. What's not pictured behind me, TJ, is the broom I'm getting from your local department store from Lowe's, actually, here to greet the Houston Astros on the way out. I'm looking forward to this one because
it's
great.
I love it. I love it, Marquis. Good.
And you mentioned, TJ, the great game from 2008. I was there at the local establishment across the street, Fergs, as you well know, when Akinori Imamura ran across the second base to signify the championship for AL East championships back in 2008. I was there for all of that.
You're right. They clinched the World Series against the Red Sox in Game 7 and about blew the roof off the Trop, your place, and half the Tampa Bay area. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to it because this is the game where – I think it's going to be the season finale for them, and I'm looking forward to seeing who we face on the upper side in the NL, which is intriguing because I would have thought it was going to be LA in a sweep, but apparently they have no bullpen, apparently. So we'll see how that all shakes everything down out.
Yeah, so the Braves and the Dodgers, right now at the time we're taping, the Braves lead 2-0 over the Dodgers. Ryan is like so-so on the baseball, sort of. You're regionally close to Atlanta, and the Braves always have had the South for many decades since being on TBS cable. So we'll see what happens with the Braves, but that's a tenuous 2-0 lead. The Braves almost blew Game 2, by the way, on Tuesday night, and they're playing 7 straight days if necessary, both the American League and the National League. Can the Braves hang on? Will it be the Dodgers? And again, the Rays, we're just like rubber stamping that it's the Rays. The Rays would fly from San Diego to meet either the Dodgers or the Braves in Arlington, Texas in this bizarre baseball playoff and World Series with however it works. Whoever wins the American League flying to Arlington to play the National League team. And that could be coming as soon as this weekend. If the Braves were to polish off the Dodgers, Braves-Rays could be beginning this weekend in the 2020 bizarre World Series. So stand by for that as well. All right, it is Three Dog Thursday. We're moving along here with this. Underdogs is what we do. I am not going to go after the Georgia Bulldogs as much, Ryan, as you were saying that your fan base was a little concerned about Georgia maybe winning this game. Interesting that when the line opened Sunday, we were talking about this in the last segment before we did the roundtable. The line opened at 5 for Alabama, favored by 5, and immediately shot up to like 6.5 or 7. Everybody was betting Alabama. Boom, 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 boom. So it is 6 or 6.5, depending on where you're getting it. I'm staying away. I'm broadcasting the game. It's just interesting. It's fascinating to me, Ryan, that you said that your audience is liking Georgia. I'm not saying that you got to take the Bulldogs. I'm not expecting you to. Is there another underdog that you might like that's on the list here for this weekend? Maybe an SEC underdog, something else that you like, Ryan Fowler?
Well, let's go to this Ole Miss-Arkansas game. And you have that line right there in front of you.
I believe it was
Miss.
3, something like that, 3.5. Okay. We'll double check.
So let me take 2 sides of this. When you look at Ole Miss, I think they exhausted everything on the field. I think they put everything into that game. And I think they'll have that crimson fade when you kind of leave it all out there, as Lane Kiffin did. Mentally exhausted. I mean, that was a great football game. But as you talked about Najee Harris a couple of minutes ago, what he was able to do. So you back up and you take that look at that Ole Miss number right there.
Yep.
I just think Arkansas, guys, this may be the biggest surprise.
At home, yes.
That Sam Pittman is a good-looking coach. And see, they do it physical. Keep in mind now, Ole Miss cannot stop the rush. They give up over 7 yards per carry. Yep. When you talk about the defensive side of the football, Alabama was able to enhance that number a little bit. But even going into the Alabama game, they were 7.11 yards. I think Arkansas wins this game straight up.
Ooh, all right. As a home dog, and Arkansas robbed last week. Again, if we don't have time to go into all of it, but if you have not seen the play where Auburn's Bo Nix was trying to clock the ball and turned around and did it backwards, which means it's a live ball. It's a backwards pass. It's not an incomplete forward. What is the backwards spike? They don't know how to spike at Auburn? I mean, Ryan, I'm playing your song. You bash Auburn all day long.
Listen,
they don't even know how to spike on the plains?
Yeah, but Auburn gets so many calls from the officials. This is like a normal thing. This is like, I mean, you go back to the Alabama halftime from the previous, last year down there, where they put another second back on the clock. The official looks at Nick Saban and says, there's no way they get the snap off. It takes more than this. They got the snap off. They got the kick.
They took
the momentum. The SEC officials, I think what it is they feel sorry for Auburn because their little brother in a big state, and they get all the calls. I
understand. That was horrible last week for Arkansas because it would have been, again, game over. They recovered the fumble. There is no game-winning field goal attempt. It would have been game over. They let the call stand. They let them kick a field goal right after that, and Arkansas loses at Auburn. So Ryan is all over the Arkansas Razorbacks. Look out for them, an early game with Ole Miss out of the SEC. Marquis Johns, someone's Detroit Lions. I'm going to share the screen again. Is this correct off the bye week that someone's Detroit Lions, I'm looking at the college games here, and we're looking at the odds from our friends at mybookie.ag, our sponsors with the Sports Gambling Podcast and their network of lines. There it is, Marquis Johns. Dare I even do I see a minus number next to the Detroit Lions? They are favored on the road, Marquis, at Jacksonville here this weekend. It is the Jaguars, but what about that? Are you okay with the Lions being favored?
No, TJ, considering that they didn't win a road game until they beat Arizona this year, and before that, it was a year before that. You're going to continue the streak of losing on the road. I don't know how I understand, TJ, me being the number one Lions apologist, as you know, TJ, I don't know how they're favored considering that Minshew can throw the football, which is the one thing they did against Houston. Houston has a better secondary than Detroit. So I can't figure out how that number got there. I guess they're trying to play on the strings of hopeful Lions fans trying to pound a number into the pavement, and I wouldn't touch that.
Are there any hopeful Lions fans left? I don't know. Marquis is from Detroit, and he doesn't have any hope left. You were tweeting last week that the great thing about last weekend is the Lions weren't going to lose because it was a bye week.
They were 5-point favorite underdogs against a bye week, TJ. Think I think of it.
Okay, so the Lions are part of Three Dog Thursday. Brian Edwards and I will be talking more NFL underdogs in our final segment after we're done with the YouTube Roundtable. We'll see what happens with the Lions and with the Jaguars. Let me promote these guys one more time. You're seeing them on the screen again on the YouTube Roundtable here, but I want to promote where you find them, where you see them. You can find Ryan Fowler right here on social media. Find him at Ryan C. Fowler on Twitter. Tide109.com is Tide FM for the station. He also, the name of the show is The Game. The Game with Ryan Fowler runs, as you see right there, 2 to 6 p.m. Central Time on Tide 100.9. Lots on the Alabama Crimson Tide with Ryan Fowler. So hopefully I did well by you promoting there. Marquis Johns, finding right here. Great handle, as we always say on our Big Fight Weekend coverage, Weak Sauce Radio. Because now he brought some strong sauce, Ryan Fowler, to the video roundtable, but he's Weak Sauce Radio on Twitter. There is his Twitter handle. Of course, he's got the Pistons hat on. Detroit apologist. BigFightWeekend.com is the website where Marquis and I hang out and talk lots of boxing. Find the Big Fight Weekend podcast if you're seeing us right here. Marquis and I host the Big Fight Weekend podcast. We'll be previewing that Lomachenko-Lopez fight for this week and this weekend. Every week we're talking fights heading into the weekend on the Big Fight Weekend podcast. Subscribe right there on Apple Podcasts as you see it on the screen. Guys, did I get all the promotional stuff right? At least I hope I did with all of this. Ryan, I look forward to this game this weekend with Alabama and Georgia, one of the games of the year in the SEC. One more thought from you before we get out of here on Bama, Georgia. Bama's won the last 5 in the series. Nick Saban, as we know, has never lost to one of his assistants, so some of the numbers pointing right at Alabama.
Well, and let me go back and give you guys credit, man. You guys have got me fired up for boxing. I mean, I'm a big boxing guy. And here I am, because during the season we dial so much into college football that we don't spend a lot of time talking other sports, anything. I mean, the Super Bowl could be played here, and we'd be talking college football. So you guys have kind of got me a little bit fired up. But I'll take another fight analogy here. Keep in mind, Nick Saban and Kirby Smart have worked together for a long time. But let me say this. There's not good blood because of the recruiting trail. Kirby Smart has went against Nick Saban's age. He said a lot of things on that recruiting trail that has been that has been taken.
When it got back to the Godfather, he ain't happy, is what you're saying?
No. And so Nick Saban, there could have been a look ahead for this Ole Miss Alabama game. They may be looking ahead to Georgia because understanding that this game and really these two teams may meet again in the SEC championship game. That looks like the path. So really, we're talking about a super big game. And then you could also take, well, who wins the game, and can you beat a team twice, regardless, of this opponent? So it's going to be a lot of fun. This is why we love college football, 2 against 3.
No doubt. I look forward to being there coming on Saturday. Marquis will be dialed in all over Lomachenko Lopez. Again, they can find the Big Fight Weekend podcast where we'll break that fight down even more. And again, it's not a pay-per-view. It's not on ESPN Plus. Everyone will see it on ESPN Saturday night as the college football is winding down. Marquis, final thought from you before we get out of here on the roundtable?
Absolutely, TJ. This fight that's happening this Saturday on ESPN, if you haven't heard about it by the time you listen to this podcast, you will have by the time it's all said and done. I assure you on ESPN's word of it.
Yeah, because they're going to promote the daylights out of it over the next 4 or 5 days heading to the weekend. And Lopez is the slight underdog. Lomachenko, again, is a Ukrainian, former gold medalist, has fought much better competition. Let's see what happens. Unbeaten kid from New York with a big right hand. Should be an intriguing fight late night, Saturday night. Guys, you did great. Ryan Fowler with Tide 100.9 FM. Thank you. Marquis Johns with BigFightWeekend.com, the website and the podcast. Boys, thank you. I appreciate you hanging out with me here on the Three Dog Thursday Roundtable.
It was a pleasure. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely, TJ. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Brian Edwards joins me coming up straight ahead as the audio version of the podcast continues here for Three Dog Thursday.